I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite
podcast
on the Citadel.
You are finally listening to Accidentally Casual. It's RPG Doc with a BioWare slant. My name is Minius from Minius GC. With me are my co-host, Seeker Cat. And I picked a bad time to start.
No, that's terrific. You got to keep it in. I swear to God, I'm not changing it.
Well,
welcome to our menage a trois.
It starts with Seeker Cat. We were having an off-topic conversation, and I wanted to get the podcast started before he went on for another 5 minutes. And yeah, I picked a bad time. There never is a good time, to be honest.
Oh no, there is never a good time.
So that one's Seeker Cat. The other one is the Tucker.
Hello.
The Tucker.
And we've been gone for a couple of weeks. What the hell
what's up with that?
happened?
Why have you guys done that?
Well,
I had a video explaining things on my thing, and then it disappeared.
Yeah, it did.
It just disappeared without my permission.
Oh no. But essentially, I couldn't. It started off because I went to MCM London Comic Con, which was terrific, and I've got some great stories from that.
See, I had topics on all the reasons we missed, and now it's been 2 weeks, and I don't know how to approach the show because I wanted to chat a bunch about Comic Con.
The initial reason was like I was at Comic Con that weekend, and I was like, we'll just do skip 1 week and then we'll get the next one. But then on the way back home, I lost my voice entirely, and I was like, "Hi guys!" I was like, literally couldn't speak. So I was just like, "Okay, guys, this isn't realistic."
What were you doing at Comic Con to lose your voice? You screaming the whole time?
Well, I did scream a little bit at a panel, but not too much. But it was just like, I think just because I was talking to people all day, every day, and I was just like at the con, and I was just excited, so I was running around talking to people. And so by the time it got to Sunday, and not to mention because it was cold, I'd been traveling back, I was kind of stressed from the travel and transporting, a kid across public transport, and especially in a major city like London, is not the most stressless thing imaginable. So by the time I got home, I was just like, my voice was cracking, and like certain ranges, I just couldn't speak at all. So I was for a couple of a day or two, I was wandering around with the sign, just being like, all right, get me things.
Because I was picturing you just like being one of those people who scream at everything. You're like,
Secretly, she went to a heavy metal concert. She went to 9 Inch Nails.
How many Comic Cons are there, by the way, now?
Or Ice Nine Kills. There we go. Ice Nine Kills. She went to that one.
MCM in particular, there is Glasgow, London. I think there's one in Liverpool. There's definitely one in Manchester.
Holy crap, there are way more than I thought.
Yeah, so I think...
You haven't even gotten off the island.
No, yeah.
Because the Comic Con I know of is the Comic Con, which is in San Diego, which is not far away from where Tucker and I am now.
Yeah, buddy, I moved.
That's the number one reason we didn't do anything is Tucker got a new job and got so excited that he refused to record on the day we had set. And literally, he was so excited he wouldn't record. And then we had a backup recording plan, and then he packed up right away.
This job, I immediately packed up, and I went across the country. I was in Florida and around in Winter Park, and I went up across the country to Arizona to a location I've never been. I never even looked at it. I literally just looked up apartment complexes near my job and just got like the first one. I didn't even look at the area. You got a great deal. Anything.
Yeah. I'm totally kidding on that.
So we're expecting Tucker to get violently murdered within like a week.
I believe you're in the home of Arizona State University, who has some of the most attractive women in the Western Hemisphere.
Man, that is not my apartment complex.
It's not? Okay.
That is not my apartment complex. But
if you wonder why the podcast starts funny every time, it's because generally these two have been talking about really weird crap for about 5 to 10 minutes, and I can't stop them. So I have to just kind of like jump in there. And if I...
Anywho, I got a job at a company called Experius, and they are a company that is owned by Microsoft. They do a lot of Microsoft games there. They do testing and other stuff, and that's where I got hired. And so I picked up, went across the country, and immediately started my job here.
So
it was very fast, and then he didn't have internet, and then Seeker and I tried to record multiple times, and
another thing happened to me. Because I had a blood test. I have sent the and basically it was really early in the morning, and I booked the day off work because I'm needle phobic. So I was just like, you know what, I'll have the whole day to myself, and I'll just, be able to go home, relax, make myself some food, maybe even go back to sleep. What a novelty. And so I started having the blood test. And I was really focused because I was looking out the window, and the nurse was really sweet. She was talking to me about my work and what I do, and I was talking, and I was focusing on this tree outside, and I was like, and then I just wasn't anymore. I was just like, oh, but it didn't feel like going to sleep or anything. It just felt like, when you lose interest in something, where you just kind of tune out. That's what it felt like just immediate, and I was just like, oh, good for me.
Man.
I've successfully sort of tuned out my needle phobia. I'm so proud of myself. And then, of course, I come to with this nurse in my face. And, of course, the first thing I think is this is a weird dream. I'm going to wake up in a minute. And, of course, I didn't. So I essentially passed out when I was having a blood test. And I now have a massive bruise on my arm, which Minius has...
am I putting that in the podcast, the massive bruise?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
So again, can I point out how it looks like a strawberry is growing out of your arm?
Yeah.
I don't see that.
Really?
Yeah, but...
Have you seen a strawberry before?
I haven't seen a strawberry growing out of an arm.
But have you seen a strawberry?
I have. I don't... Whatever. Oh, no, now I see it. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I was looking at the other one, and I just see, a gross dots, and that's what you see. You have a better imagination than I do, apparently.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, one of the times Seeker. So you also passed back out again, twice,
well, it was just
2 or 3
that
times that day, right?
It's sort of. I just kind of fell asleep, and because they told me oh, don't worry if you feel lethargic. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go for a nap, and I was expecting to be fine because I felt fine. And I was just like, I'm gonna play some Red Dead Redemption 2, just to pass the time before we have to record the podcast. And then I'm like, it was sort of similar to sort of coming to. I was like, oh, what time is it? Oh shit! And then I see a few messages from Minnie's I'm really sorry. I think I passed out again. I'm sorry. And then I was like, just in case you don't believe me, here's photos of what my arm now looks like. He was like, oh god, don't worry. So it was very
so
about it, you guys.
We almost recorded 4 different times without Tucker. I canceled on 2 of them for not anywhere near good reasons as you guys have. I was just really tired.
Oh, that's boring.
Yeah, no, I feel left out. Seeker had a medical emergency, and then the 4th time, Seeker thought we were recording, and no one had ever actually made plans to record. So she's like, where are you?
I was just I wasn't sure if it was next day, so I was just okay, I will be totally prepared, ready to go if anyone is free. And they're like, nah. So I was like, okay. No worries.
So we're going to kind of, all of our podcasts are all over the place. We're going to scramble out. There are a lot of things I want to talk about.
Not to mention we still have to do the Detroit being human.
Yeah, we need to get Seeker
opinions.
on, or get Seeker and whatever the fuck is going on. I'm tired.
Ability
drain is what I'm thinking of. You guys are not the same person.
I will totally reach out to and organise. Because we've only held off because we didn't know our own schedules at the moment. So it was just a matter of oh Jesus, let's not try and pull ability drain into it and then cancel
into
on it
the mess that is our podcast scheduling.
Dude, our podcast is awesome. I don't know what you're talking
about.
I
love our podcast. I really love it. I really like how messed up it is. But what I want to do is I want to get something going every week. And we weren't able to do that. And even if it was just 2 of us talking for 10, 15 minutes, which is what I was planning on doing, and we couldn't even manage that for 2 consecutive weeks. So I'm kind of embarrassed about that.
I like to know that I am part of the assistance of keeping the conversation going.
Way to go. Yeah. I'm also taking off in December again. I'm going to Las Vegas. So
Oh,
so we
fancy.
got to skip that. I love Las Vegas. I get to go there, and I'm one of the nerdiest people in Las Vegas, and lots of people have fun, and I do too, but I crunch numbers.
Oh,
for
is
gambling.
is that your bag? You like crunching numbers with gambling? Okay.
Yeah.
What's
Well,
fun is like there's a casino like half an hour from my apartment.
I've got I've got in my family I've got there's been some like gambling addiction, so it's not, I don't have an issue with people doing it. It's just because it's something I'm conscious of, I do my best to kind of stay away from it, just kind of avoid temptation. So yeah, that's just
Yeah,
for me. But yeah, if that's your bag, that's your bag.
it's normally, and I was gonna like all the topics. I had multiple topics lined up. One of them had to do with Comic-Con, and I was gonna ask everyone what their favorite nerd conference was.
The one I attended. I guess.
There you go.
E3.
Yeah,
E3. You've been to E3?
I've never.
I was going to go to E3, but then I wasn't able to because I started my job at EA.
You need to actually like be in the industry to get in there,
Yeah.
which has prevented me from doing that.
Yeah.
I even went in there and like, look.
hopefully going this year.
Oh, really?
Ooh, get us the scoop.
So related to that, my favorite thing has always been PSX, which is the PlayStation event. They canceled that this year, and then they're also not going to E3. So they're not doing anything.
No.
Oh yeah, what is with that? Sony's just not going.
They're just not going for the first time in like 25 years.
So that means Xbox automatically wins, right?
Technically,
Unless Nintendo
technically,
decide to just be like, oh yeah, fuck it, here's.
What's Nintendo gonna do? Release more cardboard?
they have their own little direct thing, right?
Considering they could just say like, here's remastered versions of all the Pokemon games on the Switch or something to that effect, which is pretty much what Pokemon Let's Go is. So it's like, yeah, sure, why not? Just. Or like,
Would that win it?
we're remastering. You know, I know people have been haranguing Nintendo about remastering Final Fantasy VIII. So if they were just like, and we're finally remastering Final Fantasy VIII. Speaking of,
Are you
about to
changing
say,
the
speaking
subject
of
off the Sony thing already?
yes. Well, unless it's like
Because
something
I
you
was
wanna
going to
continue.
try to start a discussion on that.
Stan Lee.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's another discussion. Yeah,
I
that's
have-
that's another one of the things I wanted to get to, but we can't hold a
Yeah.
conversation for 5 minutes. So go ahead.
That man is a legend. And
Yeah. I have not been this upset about a quote celebrity dying since Robin Williams. This hit me really like as soon as I heard the news, I like almost shouted like no, and I was waiting for someone to go, oh, it's a hoax, or he's fine, or like, and anyone to like jump in, and then when it sunk in, I really getting upset and like crying, and my boyfriend came home, and I was like, he came to the door, and I opened the door, and he just like with floods of tears down my face. He's like, oh my god, what's wrong? And I was just like, Excelsior. He's like, oh no. So he immediately knew
thing is,
why I was crying.
So who's going to cameo at his funeral?
You know what? There was a
I don't
thing
know
on Tumblr
how that question
where
works,
someone
man.
was discussing, what happens when Stan Lee dies, like who's going to cameo in the Marvel movies, and the best suggestion I heard was Deadpool, but wearing a Stan Lee costume over the Deadpool suit. Is now the Stan Lee cameo.
They can't do something like that. That would be nah.
But I tell you what, though, the next, because I think at the moment the last cameo he did was the Teen Titans movie. So it's like Venom or the Teen Titans movie.
He
as
would
far as
not
I'm
have been in
aware.
a Teen Titans movie.
Yes, he
That's
is.
No, he was in.
Is he
He
really?
was in the Teen
movie.
Titans
Yeah.
movie. Like, I will send it to you. He's a little cameo, and it's hilarious because, like, the Teen Titans are in the
What?
foreground, and then a very blatant Stan Lee starts, like, sweeping up, but because they're on the Warner Brothers lot. It's a very meta movie. And he starts, like, sweeping up behind them, like, mugging at the camera, being like, I'm Stan Lee. And then later on, he has a whole, like, I'm the Stan Lee cameo, and it's adorable. It's one of
How
the
many
cutest things I've ever seen.
Teen Titan things are going on right now. Like way too many.
Teen Titans Go. Okay, so it's Teen Titans Go.
There's
movie.
too many of them, and none of them are good.
Okay.
Teen Titans Go is good. Like,
Well,
I will
they're
fight
starting up
people on this.
Young Justice again. That was good, but we're getting
Did you
off
not-
Stan Lee.
There's a bit in
Yes.
the movie where they have to like go through time travel and like rewrite what was wronged. But one of the little like 2-second long things, because it's animation, like 2-second long things, is making sure Bruce Wayne's parents get gunned down in the alley with like a smile. They like chuck Martha Wayne's pearl necklace on her and shove them in the alley as they get gunned down. It's really fucking dark for a movie aimed at little kids.
Anyway,
It's like a 2-second gag, but I was like, fucking hell, guys.
I think Stan Lee is, if you had to pick one person that is most responsible for me being a nerd, other than like genetically, it's probably Stan Lee.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because
like,
just growing up, all of those comics that I got into, it really pushed me towards science fiction and kind of daydreaming and stuff. And he drove that like crazy.
Because I didn't really have access to the comics as a kid, but I adored Spider-Man the animated series, which of course me and Minius are both big fans of.
Yeah,
and
huge fan of that.
There was usually like a little segment of Stan Lee talking afterwards, or like, you know, they usually had a little feature of him talking. And it was always just one of those presences, and the best comparison I can think of was sort of Walt Disney. You know how Walt Disney was a very
that is a
prominent-
good one. Yeah.
Like, you know, he was the face of the company, and he was like this very paternal, creative force who was like the first person you would associate with the company. So when you have Spider-Man, there's always like Stan Lee. You can always visualize Stan Lee sort of with him. And then I remember seeing the first Sam Raimi movie, and there's his Blink and You'll Miss It cameo, and I was like, that was Stan Lee. And like, there was a couple of kids next to me, who were very little, and they didn't know. And I was like, oh, he's the guy who wrote Spider-Man. And then their eyes kind of lit up, and he was just that guy. No matter who he was with, especially around kids, he always lit up. He was always just. I think it was Chris Evans or Robert Downey Jr. said like. He was like a kid in an old man suit. You know what I mean? It's just like he never lost his joy and enthusiasm for everything to do with the medium he was in, and it's a tremendous loss. And Bill Maher can go fuck himself.
Well, I don't want to talk about Bill Maher at all.
No, but I'm saying that's my statement on that.
You know what's weird is I always picture him as that huge, jovial, like always happy, always excited guy. He said that J. Jonah Jameson was based off of him.
Yeah, I know.
And the way he acts when he was, running the company.
Yeah. Well,
which I find really hard to believe.
I think it's just because, you know what, because Stan Lee was who he was, I think that when he had to be, quote, mean about deadlines, like, get me pictures of Spider-Man, equivalent, that was how he saw himself, is like, oh, I'm really driving a hard deadline kind of thing. And, it's a deadline-based business, so I think he saw a lot of himself in Jonah, or at least a lot of the stresses that Jonah would be under. But I loved his comment that for the longest time he felt he was the only person who could play Jonah Jameson in a movie, and then they cast J.K. Simmons, and he's like, nope, they found someone better. He's perfect. And I would commit murder for someone to recast J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. Like, Marvel, just do it. Nobody cares about continuity. Just cast J.K. Simmons again, please.
It doesn't really fit with the modern stuff because nobody reads newspapers
cast him
anymore.
Anyway.
It'll work.
It'll just work just because?
Yeah, because J.K.
work.
Simmons, like,
it'll work because it's
I know
Spider-Man.
he's Commissioner Gordon at the moment, but who cares? Like, lots of people have transitioned from DC to Marvel or Marvel to DC. Nobody cares. Just do it.
Yeah, that's fine.
The thing is, though, like Stan Lee, when you think of Marvel, some of that, you think of Stan Lee, some of that, but DC, I don't know, like, who's the face of DC.
They've been running for a long time, and they've had a bunch of different people.
It tried to be Zack Snyder recently.
Yeah, but, like, Marvel has always had Stan Lee, like, as...
That's because almost every single Marvel character came out of Stan Lee's head in a period of, like, 5 years, which is ridiculous.
Or at least, like, he revamped them to such a degree that it's now the definitive version of those characters. I think the only, like, exception, like, broadly speaking, is, like, Chris Claremont had the definitive run on X-Men, and like he essentially was the guy who really introduced the let's make it a metaphor for puberty and then racism, sexism, homophobia, all of that shebang. Especially, I think he came up with Magneto as well, so he's the definitive X-Men guy. But
no, Magneto was in the first one. He's a Stanley guy.
No, but Claremont brought in. Sorry, he brought in the
he changed the personality of Magneto quite a bit.
Which
Magneto was like a mustache twirling villain in the original X-Men, like when Stanley wrote him, which it was kind of comical because I didn't know that until I read the first one many years later. I'm like, what the fuck is this dude doing?
Yeah, he's like, Eric, what the fuck, Eric? I wish they would just actually just fucking make Charles Xavier and Eric Lensher canon as a couple and just say like, they're actually a fucking couple now. Just do one continuity of that. Jesus Christ. Like,
I'm sure there is.
Like,
you could just do that and add it in the multiverse.
In Days of Future Past, the movie, there's a moment where Eric and Charles hold hands, and Eric says something to the effect of, "Oh, I wish we had more time," or something like that. I can't quite remember it off the top of my head, but Ian McKellen said like, "Oh, I wish there was one moment where we could have just, had a kiss or something to that effect." Because in Ian McKellen's mind, that was how he was playing it. He was playing it that he and Charles were in love, and that was kind of it. And it's not that Charles Xavier, especially in the movies, has had any other real love interest. They tried to introduce like Moira Taggart.
Not in the movies, yeah.
Yeah, in like a post-credit scene.
Well,
but that's
true. They tried that, and he's got his crazy villain kid that now has a TV series.
Yeah.
Either way, my favorite. Do you know Stan Lee served in World War II?
Yep.
Do you know what he did?
Like telegraph poles, wasn't it? Something like that.
What's? Say it again, because you cut out.
Oh, he fixed telegraph poles or something, didn't he?
No, he actually like drew comics, in like propaganda comics, and he also drew, and this is according to him, a little pamphlet on how to avoid VD.
Oh.
Which I cannot find.
No, I imagine.
But
yeah.
I mean, you know that Hitler invented blow-up dolls, right?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't know where that's going with that, but the Stan Lee VD post, I want that. How much money do you think that's worth? Like a pamphlet from World War II.
Now that he's died and people are literally like scrambling for every kind of bit.
But before I would think it'd be worth just as much. I don't know, maybe it went up a little bit now.
You know what was really killed me though? Bear in mind, I was at a comic convention like 3 weeks ago rather. I was thinking to myself when I was there, I was like, you know what? Doesn't matter how much it costs. Next time Stan Lee's over here, I'm gonna go see him, because there were times when I saw that he was going to be in the UK and I was like, oh God, I really can't make it this year because of so many reasons. And I put it off. Like I've seen in a previous convention, I've seen Bill Shatner. I've been a couple of feet away from Bill Shatner, and I was like, that's a thing. I saw Captain Kirk, and his line was fucking. He was like charging something like
you said
quid.
Bill Shatner, and I like seized him. Who the fuck is Bill Shatner? Like, oh, William Shatner.
Yeah.
Who calls him Bill Shatner? Is that like a UK
Lots of
thing?
people call him Bill Shatner.
Who?
Lots of people.
Who's lots of people?
Chime in the comments. It's like, are you aware that Bill Shatner is a thing? It's like, yeah.
That totally threw me off. Bill Shatner. Who's Bill Shatner, Tucker?
I know he's not William Shatner.
He is William Shatner.
Oh, he is William Shatner.
See, that's what I'm talking. That's got to be a UK thing then.
It's not a UK thing. Like lots of people.
I don't believe you.
Oh, well, fine. Hang on.
Anyway, Stan Lee, man, that 95 is a pretty good number to get to, though.
Not to mention that
he's lived. That dude lived.
Yeah, and
not to mention that his the story of him meeting his wife was absolutely adorable. Like, 'cause I think he said like he was at a party or something, and he saw her like across the room. And he said to a friend of his like, "I'm gonna marry that girl," and his buddy said to her like, "No, mate, she's married." He's like, "I don't care." And he just like waited until eventually he was just like, it got to a point where he reached out to Joan, and they met, they fell in love, and they stayed together until she passed away a couple of years ago. And as soon as I heard the news that she had passed away, I knew, I was just like, oh, it's just that thing, isn't it? That the spouse is never far behind. And I just knew that it was, it was just that thing of you wanted Stanley to live forever. You wanted him to just keep going.
He's one of those people that you didn't expect would die. Kind of like the Queen, who she's still invited on the podcast if she ever wants to.
Queen Elizabeth Regina. But yes, I tried watching a bit of The Crown. I was like, it's good. It's just, I'm not really a royalist, so it's not really that gripping to me.
Don't you have to be a royalist if you're in
No!
England?
In fact, there's a whole,
sure?
yes, there is a whole... our press gets fucking so hysterical about the royals. We're all, as a public and a general population, we're all fucking sick of them. For the most part, it's like anytime a royal takes a shit, it's like, oh my god, did you hear? It's like, and I just wish I kind of wish they would stop breeding so I don't have to hear about every stage of their fucking pregnancy or whatever. Anyway, sorry, that's me ranting about hearing about the royals constantly.
Oh man, you don't have anything like that in America, where someone in...
Yeah, ours
You just
changes
have,
all the time, though.
Yeah, it does.
One of the original topics we were going to jump in is Red Dead Redemption came out, and we were going to talk about open worlds and stuff. How are you guys doing with Red Dead Redemption?
So,
yeah, sorry, you took me
I just learned how to play poker, and I have a $300 bounty on me in Valentine.
Don't you get that out of... I don't want to spoil too much stuff, yeah.
I haven't gotten that far, because every time I go into Valentine, like, I'm trying to get rid of my bounty. Every time I try to go in there, I just keep getting shot at, so I have to fight back.
This is why, like,
the bounty just keeps going up.
My first strategy was like, okay, I'm going to find the post office elsewhere, just at like a couple of post offices dotted around the map, just so I have places to go pay off my bounty to. As far as that goes, I'm a bit further than Tucker. I haven't been unlucky to have a bounty in Valentine, at least not for very long. I did, although, have a sporadic, I'm gonna rob it, because you get little prompts occasionally like, you can do this, and I had a little prompt as a train was going past me like, oh, by the way, you can rob trains, and I was like, and it was like an angel and a devil on his shoulders, like, you've got like your legendary animal carcass on your horse that you're totally about to turn into the trap. I was like, I know, but the train's there, so I was like, stick him up. So I committed a robbery, and I got absolutely got my ass handed to me, and I had a $90 bounty in what's the city called? It's like Saint something. It's in the northeast corner.
There's a lot of cities. You talking about the big one?
The big one, yeah.
The Saint Denis?
That's the one. And so I had, in that little province, I had like a $90 bounty for a while. And the funniest...
Only 90?
What's the dumbest way you've died? One of the dumbest
usually it's like once I was trying to get on my horse.
A dog killed me.
A dog?
Like a dog. Did you kick it or something?
No, see, I was riding around and there was a dog, and I immediately wanted to go pet the dog. Little did I know, it was like in a gang area, and I didn't know.
No.
I just saw the dog and wanted to go pet it. So I go over and I started to pet the dog, and the guys start yelling at me, and they start shooting me while I'm in animation of petting the dog. So I turn, I shoot the guy, the dog gets angry, and he bites me, and I die.
I tried to get on my horse, and then I ended up tackling a guy around a bunch of cops, and they shot me.
Oh, that's how my $300 bounty started. I was running with the horse, and I hit a guy with the horse, and then he started running off, and I was like trying to chase him down, and instead of pressing left trigger to like reach out to him, I accidentally pressed right trigger, so I shot him.
Do you love it when you do
that? I tried to
mistake.
run onto my horse, and my horse was scared and was running around Valentine, so I'm chasing that while people are shooting at me, and the bounty just keeps going up because I'm having to shoot the people, and I'm getting close to the horse. Every time I get close to the horse, someone keeps shooting it, so it runs away again. So I'm ducking in and out of buildings, running all around, finally getting the horse, and I'm running out there, and I have a $300 bounty on me at that point. I'm like, well, cool.
I also spent most of the game wishing, oh god, what's his name? Is it Charles, the Native American half black guy, I wishing he was the protagonist. Like, what? You're so much more interesting than fucking Arthur Morgan. Why can't you be the protagonist?
Arthur Morgan starts to get really interesting as the game goes along.
There's bits
takes
in it
a
where it's
while.
like, okay, you're tolerable, but it just, to me, it's just like...
How far How far have you gotten along in the story? I don't want to spoil anything, but it starts to get really interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the last proper
But-
point.
It takes a while.
Too much. Like, I've started doing stuff with like Micah and John Marston. There's a John Marston quest that's sat waiting for me to do. Yeah, it's just like it's.
Yeah, come back to me when you finish the game and see how you feel. It takes too long for him to get going.
That's why I've been sort of holding off on too much criticism. I just remember, like, when the game started up, I was like, "You're so interesting. Why can't you be the pro tag?" And I had a thought to myself, but I was just like, "Oh, maybe there would have been like comparisons between Assassin's Creed 3 because they had a Native American protagonist." And then I was just like, that doesn't mean like we get to limit, how many protagonists people can, of certain communities can have because that was represented by another game. I don't know. I was just sat there thinking, oh, I would have loved that guy because I liked his attitude towards things as well. But I am giving Arthur Morgan a chance tentatively. I have started liking him a little bit more recently. I will concede that much.
I had a problem with the open world. It's kind of interesting because I started getting into the story, which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
And it pushed me along, and I didn't get to enjoy the open world as much as you two did.
That's why the thing with Rockstar games in particular, I'm like, okay, the story is... Because here's the thing, Rockstar games, the dialogue is always terrific. It's always really good or really funny or really evocative of character. So I was really enjoying that, but it's even like the storylines feel really kind of generic to me. Because that was what I loved about the first Red Dead Redemption was it's actually far more of a deconstruction of Westerns than it is a straight Western. To me, this kind of felt like... Rockstar got nostalgic about Red Dead Redemption. It's like, oh, let's lionize Westerns. And it's like, oh, no, that's not what I'm here for, really. And it feels like it's got far less teeth than the, narratively, at least from what I've gotten to, than Red Dead 1. But I will get further along. It kind of does.
I would prefer, and this is kind of where one of the original topics on the show that we wanted to do, if you're going to do an open world game, you really have to tailor the story towards an open world.
Yes. Otherwise it becomes really flabby and you don't care because it's like, oh, I'm riding too far to get to the next plot point.
I enjoyed the story in Red Dead Redemption 2, but I kind of wish it wasn't there. Because if you were just like, hey, listen, you could have a whole bunch of smaller plot lines, but basically you are on your own. You can go white hat, black hat. You can shoot people in Valentine or punch a horse in the face, and it doesn't slow down the story at all. When you're tied down to other characters, it kind of makes it harder for you to make the world your own in the open world way.
I also really like
I felt that was one of the more difficult parts with Mass Effect Andromeda was the open world aspect just slowed the story down way too much.
Yes,
and
agreed.
This Red Dead Redemption 2 is really, really slow unless you're on your own doing whatever. And it kind of feels like I don't want to have to compete between the story and that thing. So that's more of what I'm worried about going forward with other games. Although really, really fantastic game overall. It's the most tedious game I've ever enjoyed.
I got a complaint about it.
Oh, they'll put that on the box. The most tedious game
I've ever enjoyed.
I got a big complaint about it. When you're looting and you have to loot, like, there's like 3 canned beans in a house, and you have to loot each individual one, each with an animation.
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of that in the game.
Give me a skip button, for fuck's sake, Rockstar.
I read an article, they're like, ooh, did Rockstar just change what's interesting in games? I hope a lot of people don't make games as tedious as Rockstar made this game.
Yeah, no, I mean... It's good with that one game, but if that's the future of what games are going to...
There's no way anyone else can get away with that. Like, if the next Assassin's Creed has you picking up things individually, and you have to take baths, or people get mad at you, or you have to brush your horse and feed it, I can never like keep my weight up. I'm always starving my character.
Yeah.
Because I don't eat
It's because
enough.
I'm always like doing shit, and by the time I get a campfire, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna sleep till morning because I've got shit to do. And it's like, oh yeah, I should probably eat something because I haven't eaten it. And I look at the in-game time, it's like 2 weeks. Okay, apparently Arthur is just very resilient.
I think there's an Onion article where it's like, man keeps his in-game person healthier than he is.
Yes. I tell you what, though, my dumbest death was because I had just discovered like all the swampy parts of things. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. You know, like I'm generally not a fan of swampy areas, but I was liking riding around that. And at one point, because that was the other thing in the first Red Dead, the rattlesnakes always annoyed me because it felt like you got like a split second of warning, or it would like bite the horse and the horse would throw you, and it was generally just a pain in the neck to deal with. And I was always like listening, like intent, like by muscle memory, just always trying to listen for the rattlesnake noise. Now there's a few moments in the actual music where there's kind of like a background, like almost like a rattlesnake noise. So then I would sort of stop dead, start looking around on the floor to see like, is that a rattlesnake or is it the music? And I've just sort of given up because it's like, oh yeah, it's the fucking music because I'm in the wrong area for rattlesnakes. Now, as I was wandering around the swampy area, I saw a bunch of snakes sort of swimming on the surface of the water. I was like, oh, terrific! I'm going to go see how much like what it takes to get a snake skin good quality. So I pulled out my bow and I was walking. I got off my horse and I was walking in the water. I was like, just getting the right shot lined up. And of course, a fucking gator leaps out at me. And I was like, oh yeah, I was wandering around in gator-infested waters waist deep trying to shoot a snake with a bow and arrow. I'm an idiot. I just completely just tuned out to where I was. So yeah, complete fucking moron there.
So something that reminded me of, because how there's also like something I learned about Arizona, there's a lot of rattlesnakes and things like that. I found a scorpion in my apartment the first day I moved in.
Oh,
Yep.
Jesus.
That was fun.
They don't have those in Florida, right?
Nah.
It's
So
too
you were
wet.
essentially
Yeah, no.
in the Australia of America now. Is that where you're in?
There were ants like the size of my fingernails, and I was watching those things. They were trucking about doing their little ant stuff, and it was cool.
All right, I'm going to toss up a live poll that I would like to do
Alright.
more often. And I'll throw it to you guys first. The question is, who makes the best open world games?
Oh, Jesus.
The three I have
Pokemon
on there
count
right
as
now,
an open world
Rockstar.
game?
What?
Does Pokemon count as an open world game?
I'm thinking more from a company standpoint. So Nintendo, would that be the other one?
I guess.
Those are
Blizzard?
Nintendo-based. Blizzard?
Blizzard count?
I was
Yeah,
like,
World of
Blizzard?
Warcraft?
That's one, though.
Yeah, but it's a dominating one.
But it's just one. I mean, this is like companies that are... The two
I
that...
think we need to
Bethesda?
define-
Bethesda's
I
on
think we
the...
need
I
to
had
define, like-
Rockstar, Bethesda, and Ubisoft. Mainly
Yeah,
for the Assassin's Creed
I think we
stuff.
have to define what it, like open world without it being an MMO. So like.
All right,
that.
what about Square Enix?
Like what?
What good open world games have they done recently?
Just Cause 4, Just Cause 3, Just Cause 2.
So just cause. That's it.
Speaking of
Yeah.
Squeenix, actually, I got to play the Toy Story level when I was at Comic-Con for Kingdom Hearts 3, and they sat you down and they got the headphones on and the Kingdom Hearts theme started playing. I was like, oh god, I'm getting emotional now. And then I clicked to play, because they had a choice. It was either the Hercules level, and I was like, oh, Hercules is tradition for the franchise, so I'll go on the new level. And I clicked on the Toy Story level, and the logo pops up, and they start playing "You Got a Friend in Me," and I was like, ah! I'm like, now I'm emotional. I'm not even played the fucking thing yet. Thanks a lot.
What
Squeak.
about Toy Story 4?
Wow. You guys are both. This is one of the squirreliest podcasts we've ever had.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's
Well,
that way
yeah,
because I didn't set a topic ahead of time because I wanted to cover a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
To be honest, would we listen though?
I don't know. This is the question. We're talking about open world games.
Oh, yeah. So Toy Story 4.
And
That-
Detective Pikachu.
I don't know how to feel about that.
Stop.
Like,
Okay,
Toy
which
Story
of
4,
these?
I'm just-
The question now is which of these three makes the best open world games?
you
Rockstar,
put Toy Story in
Bethesda,
there?
or Ubisoft? I'm not putting.
I'm
about-
gonna have to go Bethesda.
What?
think
Of
of
those
something.
three.
All right,
Of those three.
Tucker. Who needs to be on there?
Square Enix.
They that just make one series. That doesn't count.
They also do Kingdom Hearts.
But they
Final
only do that
Fantasy.
once every 20 years.
And Final Fantasy.
Those aren't always open world games. Okay, should I put Square
Tomb
Enix?
Raider?
Are you insisting on me putting Square Enix on there?
Yes, and Tomb Raider.
Oh,
I guess some of those are.
I am not a fan of the
and-
modern Tomb Raider. I have.
In
a
all
lot
fairness, this is like
of
kind of a crappy question because
I mean,
this
Bethesda's
is
gonna. Bethesda, it's going to be a thing between Bethesda and Rockstar. But
Yeah.
Square Enix.
it's because Ubisoft has a bunch of different developers and Square Enix has a bunch of developers, but Rockstar General and Bethesda General generally they have one main group working on all those games. So, all right, Rockstar, Bethesda, Ubisoft, and Square Enix. That's what I'm going with. What's your answer?
Bethesda for me,
Ah.
because of those ones because that's what I would associate with those companies. Because because you asked me like, oh, what's your favorite open world game, and I was trying to think, okay, beyond what I think my favorite is, what's the most amount of hours I've put in an open world, full stop. And my first thought was Skyrim, because Jesus Christ, the amount of hours, it's not even funny how much I've spent in that game. And then I was thinking, oh, hang on, wait, does Pokemon count as an open world RPG? Because it technically does.
Pokemon Go.
Not Pokemon
That's a very
Go.
big
just,
open world.
Just
Pokemon,
like
Go is the
Pokemon-
best open world game.
What?
Well,
Can you guys
technically it's-
retweet my tweet so we can
will.
get this poll going?
I'll tweet the tweet.
Yeah, so in the original, we were going to talk about the influence of open world games, and I was looking, what's the first open world game they came out with? And it was like in like '82 or something. And I don't remember that because I wasn't alive, and you guys weren't alive. What's the first open world? Okay, two questions for you guys. What's the first open world game you played, and what's your favorite open world experience?
Probably be like maybe Legend of Zelda.
That was mine.
Like Zelda?
Yeah, Legend of Zelda.
Mine would,
Which-
like I said, one of my first games I got, if not the first game, was Pokemon Red. So I that's my answer, and it's still
That's
one of my
interesting.
favorite experiences. Because I had a Game Boy Color, and I discovered to my horrified, me and my sister discovered to our horror that there are not multiple save states in Pokemon. So when I had spent like an hour and handed it over to her to play, she just overwritten all of my progress. So I was like, no. But yes, I wish they had that feature, to be honest.
So is that your favorite open world experience and your
Yeah.
first?
Yeah, my favorite.
A good
and my
combo?
first. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that Legend of Zelda was an open world until I thought about it.
Because it's the same thing with Pokemon, is that if you think about it, the storyline is the same, it doesn't change, but everyone has a slightly different experience that's tailored to them because they make choices about what Pokemon they do, what moves they teach them, how much they grind for it.
It's interesting. I asked people what their favorite open world experience is, and nobody said Pokemon. So
I
got
did
quite a
Pokemon
few.
Go.
First of all, that doesn't count.
How does that not count as an open
because
world
you didn't
game?
respond to my tweet when I tweeted
I
it a while
responded
ago.
that
He
on
literally
the
just
tweet.
replied to the retweet. I can see it. The retweet.
No, I'm talking about
Because
the
that
tweet
makes
from
sense.
like 2 weeks ago when we were going to record something.
Oh yeah.
That sounds like but that's effort. That's like past
but
Tucker.
that's
We moved
effort.
on. We've grown as a person.
You have not grown as a person. You are a liar. I get your random messages on Skype.
The ones that you've asked me to tame down so you can post on
Yeah,
Twitter.
I was like, he sent this thing and it was such a good rant, and I want to post this on Twitter, and so I'm looking and like, how do I clean this up? And I could not. It would ruin the entire thing. And so my response to him was like, man, why don't you dumb these down so I can repost them on Twitter?
Tucker, be real with us for a sec. In Arizona, did you by any chance discover a symbiote that is now being part of you? Because you just referred to yourself as like a we.
As a what?
You said we. Yeah, we have grown beyond that or something to that effect.
No. I was meaning like us as a family here. We've grown.
Aw.
We've gone on our adventure.
family?
Oh my God, this comes off of
Aw,
my bed. What the
family.
hell?
You and the Scorpion?
I don't know, dude. I just found out that this thing unscrews on my bed, and I'm very confused by it because I've had this bed for like 5 years, and this is completely brand new to me.
So
here.
this thing, that is very descriptive. I have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
It's like a little wooden thing that screws on at like the footbed thing of it.
Oh, now you're gonna, dude, stop that! I have to edit that
That's a
out.
lovely noise to have come over headphones.
Please,
on
please,
a audio
please take it
medium.
off and throw it.
It's like half a mile away from the microphone. I don't know how
I
picking
can
that
hear
up.
it now.
Well, it is,
It's all right, man. I don't. If I'm gonna have to edit that, I'm gonna be really mad at you, and I'm gonna have to edit it out because anyway, Tucker, your favorite open world experience is what?
Pokemon Go.
Is it really?
Yeah,
So
dude.
I thought you were
walked
kidding.
like a.
Someone
No,
said-
dude, I go
someone
on like
just
an
said, "Oh
8K
God."
or a 10K walk almost
How
every
does
day.
that even count? That's just the world.
We're gonna get murdered.
Yeah.
How did we not?
That shouldn't
think
count
of
at all.
CD
It has
Projekt Red?
amazing
How did we
graphics.
not think of CD
Sometimes
Projekt
it's a
Red,
bit
guys?
buggy.
We failed.
Sometimes it's a bit buggy.
I refuse to count that.
Why?
Really? It's the
It's-
most open world game
But
in
it's
existence.
just the world. I mean, you just walk
Yes.
around in the world. That's not. They didn't create that world.
And you catch Pokemon. You don't know that.
Wait,
don't
I
know
don't
that
know
the
that they
Antic
didn't
hasn't
create the
actually
planet
created-
Earth.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yes, I do.
I mean,
That's such crap.
Nintendo's so big at this point, you don't know. Maybe they did.
I definitely know because they wouldn't have made enough space for everyone to be there. They would have limited the amount of consoles you could buy, and then jack
I
up
mean,
the
you
price.
know that EA didn't do it because there's no microtransactions for. Oh my God, there are.
Yes, there
It's
are.
tax.
Yeah, there's hella microtransactions, dude. All right, I don't. Oh, other than Pokemon Go, what the fuck? Do you have another one? Because I don't want to count that.
Can I just say, like, from the future, say that Cyberpunk 2077 is my favorite?
You haven't
'Cause
played
it
it
looks
yet,
like
so
it's
no.
gonna be my favorite. It
I
looks
mean,
like it's gonna be my favorite.
I've been really getting back into the Arkham trilogy, like the Arkham series.
So like,
I have
I guess those
opinions
are
on
all
the
open
Arkham
world, aren't
series.
they?
Yeah, like Arkham City is. tip-top.
City is yeah.
City is like
I
it's
just
the
think
bee's
it went
knees.
very, very downhill after City. I love Asylum. Asylum's my favorite. I think losing Paul Dini as a writer was a mistake
That was
And-
that. I don't know why they did that.
because he
Yeah,
didn't want
he's,
to write
he's
him
one of
anymore.
the best animated. No, I thought they just didn't offer him anything. That's what he said.
I will look into it. If anyone knows the answer to that, please tell us because
They
we're
didn't
not
even
100%
they didn't
sure.
even ask him to write the next one. It could have been like he said, "I'll write the next one for all this money," and they're like, "No, we're not even negotiating at this point."
Yeah, because like as a massive Batman the Animated Series fan, I remember when they announced it, and it's like, oh yeah, we're making a dark Batman game based on my favorite Batman graphic novel, A Serious House on a Serious Earth, or that was at least what they were implying at the time. And all the original voice actors from the Batman the Animated Series are coming back, including like Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. And I was just like, oh my god, this is going to be the greatest game ever. And I adore Asylum, I really do. It's I think I love it most because it's a very linear experience. So it has its open worldy bits that are, you venture the grounds and stuff. But it's very, okay, you go from point A to point B, you pick up this that enables you to get to this part of the map now. It's very point to point to point to point, and it feels like the narrative really has drive, which it definitely loses in City, because in City it's like, oh, and here's a massive area, and like here's some narrative threads,
Yeah.
go at it. Which is great. Oh god, I still really dislike their treatment of Bane, especially in City. You essentially hit him with a bit of rolled up newspaper and lock him in an easily breakable door, and is like, stay in there. It's like, it is the most pathetic villain takedown I have ever seen in a Batman game. That was just pathetic. The fucking Mad Hatter puts up more of a threat than Bane does.
All right, right now we have over 50 votes. Real quick,
50 votes
Rockstar
already?
is at 44%. Bethesda's at 42%. Then Ubisoft's at 11.
I said those are going to be the
and
big
Square.
ones.
Those
right
are
there.
really. It really could have been just those two, and that's it. So really, Tucker, your favorite open world experience that you last in your memory is still Pokemon Go?
Dude.
Out of any game, you're like that's the one.
I mean, I don't really play many open world games, but with Pokemon Go, I go on like an 8K or 10K walk every day.
Okay,
can
I just
I just
remember
ask-
your open world experience with Dragon Age Inquisition. and you just wouldn't move.
The hinterlands.
Can I just ask, because I've been
Man,
binging this
that
since-
that would have put a damper in your bottle then if I'd said that Dragon Age Inquisition was my favorite.
I would have thought it was really funny because I still think that's funny.
All right, Tucker, I'm buying a plane ticket. I'm going to go and kick your ass. It's gotten too much. I ain't going to kick your ass and sit you in front of a fucking console and force you to play through Dragon Age Inquisition so I don't have to berate you about
I would
Dragon
gladly
Age
accept that and then
anymore.
show you. Dude, there's a goat farm. I could show you the goat farm that's right next to my apartment.
The what bar?
Goat farm. There's
Oh,
a goat
farm.
Wait.
Okay, I was just like, ghost bar? What the fuck is that?
And there's a bunch of the goats. It was fantastic. It was fantastic because this is actually the first day I've been able to go on a walk.
Wait,
so
I
I'm
thought
walking around.
I thought you were in Tempe.
I am.
There's a goat farm in Tempe?
Well, it's not like a big one. It's like a little small one. But so I was like, okay, today I can actually walk. So I just leave the apartment complex and I start walking. That like about 5 minutes walking in direction. I see a bunch of goats, so I get all excited and I start like walking towards. I start walking towards them, and there's just like.
I see a bunch of goats and I just get really excited. Tucker, do you have something to tell us, Tucker? Like, why?
So.
Oh, God.
Fucking creepy dude. You're a fucking creepy dude.
We just,
But
like,
I get
hanging
really
outside
excited because
the
there's a bunch of
goat
goats,
pen,
and
just
I'm like really
like-
happy about the goats. And
Oh my
one of them,
God.
they all look a bit normal, and then there's this one that's just this dopey looking. He's like this cross-eyed looking guy. He
And
it's
his
not
name
li-
is
he's
Tucker.
not looking normal like all the other goats. So I start giving him flowers because I start feeding him flowers, and I just put the video of that in the Skype chat.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right, I'll have to check that out later. Unfortunately, I have an animal of the week. I already used goat on episode number 3, so I can't use that one.
Well, you can use this goat because he is
No,
magnificent.
I need a
and-
different species every episode. So,
Dude, I think this goat is a different species. This thing is so weird looking.
all right, well,
Have you
I'll
ever
add them
seen
and
the
have a
Bob
This
different,
guy,
Burgers
different
he
animal.
episode?
was giving me this weird stank eye, and he was also giving the girl that was like next to me a stank eye too. Like he was cross-eyed so much he could watch like 3 different things.
Jesus, like, how many eyes does this thing have? But have you ever seen the?
I don't know.
There's a Stand By Me parody that Bob's Burgers did, but instead of going to find a dead body, they go looking for a 2-butted goat.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
I can get on
It's
board.
good.
I can get on board to that.
That show's weird.
It is a
I
weird
mean, what
show.
about South Park? Where like I think the first season had that doctor or the scientist that created like a 4-butt monkey or something like that.
Yeah, he just adds butts on
It's in
things.
South Park.
I remember that because that was in the game, not Stick of Truth, the
Fractured butthole.
That's the one, fractured butthole. I was like, I know there's a butthole pun in there somewhere. I just can't remember the exact formation of words that it makes up. But just to bring this all back away from goat and 2-butted goats and Jesus Christ, with the open world point as a contrasting point. I've spent a good chunk of the last couple of days playing Spyro the Reignited trilogy, which of course I've been very excited about, and I've been unable to shut up about it because they were my favorite games when I was a kid, and replaying them again. And have you guys played Spyro? Any of the Spyro games?
I have not,
No.
and I don't think I'm going to, even though my
That's
friends
fine.
want
I
me
mean,
to.
I just want to give you an idea of how they work, which is essentially you have like a hub world, and you have little portals to go to specific levels that have like a series of things you find, and there's like 3 of them. There's like maybe 3 at tops, and you go in, and it's really charming because they're all like based on some theme. Each of these levels, like there's a level in the 3rd one that's like, oh, it's a western but dinosaurs, and here's like a tundra level, here's a desert level, here's a desert level with cavemen. That's kind of, it's just like, and they're all like really cute designs, and they're all like thematic, and it just feels like and you go in these worlds, and it just really feels like they captured something. And it just to go from Red Dead Redemption 2, where it's like this massive
Are you
open
making a
world.
point?
I am making a point. Shut up.
You're having like a major feeling,
I'm
like I
trying
can see
to
you're like
describe
lost
the
in your memories. You
experience
just
of
can't
playing
get a thought
Spyro
out.
to you. Anyway, so to go from Red Dead Redemption 2, which is this old open world and very like, you know, has potential like adult themes and all this stuff. Speaking of the drinking blackout session was fucking hilarious. That was, I think, my favorite part in the game so far.
Lenny!
I love how like one of them is like, what is it, like blurp? There's like a prompt on the screen that like to ask about Lenny, and it's just like blurp or something like that. That was fucking hysterical. Anyway, so to go from that to playing a very kid-friendly, well, at times very kid-friendly Spyro game, and I was just like, go back to this, and because it's one of those things where it's very upfront, like it is a game, because it feels like the game industry is so obsessed with becoming more cinematic. Oh, everything's got to be more cinematic or more realistic. That everything's pushing aside the reality that it's a game you're playing. You have to push buttons to interact with a game, and that's what it is. So that in Spyro, it surprised me because like the characters in the game are like, oh, push the triangle button. And I was trying to think of the last time I had a character in universe say, push the triangle button, and I couldn't fucking think of it. I was just like, when was the last time a game told me to actually push the button that I needed instead of being like, oh,
I remember there's stuff like that in Metal Gear Solid 4.
It's been quite a while that I've heard that because I play on Xbox.
You know what I mean, though. It's just like, because usually it's like text on the screen, or like they do whatever they can to try and distance the actual practicality of playing the game from the universe logic.
I know what you mean. I don't mind that at all, like the wall breaking stuff.
Oh yeah, I don't. It just seems like we've stepped so far away from that, and the level design is so good. It's so good. Like everything has a flow, and you can follow it because, like, okay, because of this logic, I have to go to this logic, and it really interconnects. And it just feels. It made me feel sad because it feels like, as an industry, games have had to relearn a bunch of lessons that were present 20 fucking years ago.
It'll go back and forth, though. I want to cut you off before we talk about Spyro
like
for the remaining 30 minutes of the show.
Yeah, but
and I'll talk about my favorite open world experience.
No,
you're done. Stop. I'm cutting you off.
Wait, no.
Damn
Best open world experience. Best open world experience was RuneScape.
Oh, Jesus fuck. I had that advertised to me, and my response was, not today, Satan. I put too much of my life in that anyway.
Old school RuneScape.
You know what I used to do in old school RuneScape? You know what I used to do? I used to go help newbies out and make them armor. Like mithril armor, I used to just make for newbies. Hang around the respawn point and just be like, hey, you want some armor? And go and just tell them like which shitty players to avoid, and just be like, yeah, you'll be fine. And set them off in the world.
I didn't realize that RuneScape was that old. I was looking at the...
Oh, it is that old.
RuneScape was amazing.
Yeah, like it said first released in January 2001. So you guys were like,
in
diapers,
I used to go to my school library and play.
But no, dude, I was playing the 07 RuneScape, before things went bad.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of. I have a couple answers, and I think the one that really stuck it in for me as far as my favorite open world experience goes, it's got to be Oblivion. Okay. That's the first game that I just completely ignored the story and went. And I didn't realize I was completely ignoring the story until maybe like 50 hours in. I was going around spelunking. It was great.
So what about Detective Pikachu?
I think it looks great. I want to see it. Like, bear in mind, when they announced, like, oh, Ryan Reynolds is Detective Pikachu, I was like, there is no way this shit is going to work. And then I saw the trailer, I was like, you know what? I think, when they sold me, when they fucking sold me, is when they put the little theme music, the little echo of it on, like, a piano as the guy was sat on his bed just before Detective Pikachu showed up. And I was like, oh, fuck, they've sold me. They've punched me right in the nostalgia feels, and I'm sold. I'm going to go see that movie. It's going to be great.
And honestly, again, because they had Mr. Mime in that trailer,
yeah.
How is Mr. Mime a Pokemon? He's a person. I am confused.
He's not a person. He's a Pokemon. Like, people don't look like that. Like, what version of reality do you when people look like that?
I mean, I live in America.
Oh, true. Point. I concede. Mr. Mime is a person, apparently.
It's just, like, it's Mr. Mime. Yeah. He's a mime. So do they not have? So does the job as a mime, does that not exist in that world because it's a Pokemon?
But they had to call him Mr. Mime, surely. It's that whole like chicken
So
and
are
egg
there?
thing.
So are there normal mimes in Pokemon?
Presumably, because it's a chicken and egg thing, isn't it? Was Mr. Mime going around saying mime, mime, mime like he did in the anime?
Does he talk?
In the anime, he used
talk.
to say mime, mime, mime because Ash's mum
Then he's a
had
terrible
like
mime.
a housekeeper or like a slave, I guess, that was a Mr. Mime who was usually like seen with like a broom or something. And when he was distressed,
Then he's a terrible mime.
yeah, he used to, when he was distressed, he would say mime, mime, mime or something to that effect. From what I remember, I remember very vividly in the 2000 Pokemon 2000 movie, there was a moment of that. But obviously, Mr. Mime in the Detective Pikachu movie doesn't talk because that would kill the joke that he's a fucking mime.
So if mimes exist naturally, like just normally,
But where did the
in the
word for
Pokemon
mime
world, like
come
someone's
from?
like, I want to grow up and I want to be a mime. Yeah. If that's their thing, are they dressing up as a Pokemon then?
Tell you what,
Or are they like what's the deal?
you know what's even more hilarious though is that I remember there was a discussion on Tumblr because there
That's
was.
not answering the question.
I don't know what the answer is, but I'm saying that this is adjacent to that question. Is that there was a picture of a bunch of like siblings, and they all had evolutions of Eevee, but all of their hair was modelled on their evolution of Eevee. So it was like, Vaporeon or Leafeon or something. So they all had these very like elaborately styled hairstyles. It's like, what came first? Did they decide on the haircut and then decide to get a Pokemon that looked like that, or did they just like, oh well, I guess I have a Vaporeon now, so I guess I have to have blue hair for the rest of my life? It was just like so weird.
Also, Tom Hardy
is now CBE.
Sir Tom Hardy.
He's now CBE. Good for him.
Wow, you guys, I completely tuned out the last 5 minutes. What were we talking about?
I did too, honestly.
It was your conversation. You brought it up.
Yeah, I know.
I literally do not care about any of that stuff.
Oh.
I was in the middle, and I was going to get to the people who so nicely responded to my Twitter question, and then you go off on a fucking 5-minute rant about not relevant stuff.
Mr. Mime. That is a topic
Yeah.
that is not talked about enough, because
What?
I'm confused.
What topic's not talked about enough? Pokemon?
No, Mr. Mime. Like, are there mimes in the Pokemon world? If they are they dressing up as a Pokemon?
Answer in
Or-
the comments. Chime in on the Mr. Mime controversy.
Sure. By the way, updated Rockstar is now taking a significant lead in our poll.
Yeah.
Again, it really was between Rockstar and Bethesda.
48% Rockstar, 39% Bethesda, 13% other. We may as well go with other. At this
I'm
point.
not. I would not
Yeah.
be surprised if the torches and pitchchforks came out saying, "Where's CD Projekt Red?"
There is
Well,
one
someone-
person that said CD Projekt Red.
I know, but like, you know, there's going to be more people just being like, "CD Projekt Red."
By the way, a couple of the games that came through and came up pretty big. One that I kind of forgot about, Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda. A couple people brought up that as their favorite experience. Totally forgot that game existed because I don't buy Nintendo consoles anymore because they're really angry with them.
Nintendo just seems to just be doing whatever they want.
They don't care
Yeah.
about their fans at all, and that pissed me off. And that's been going on for a while. So
To be fair, I can't remember the last. I don't think I've ever actually. Like the last Nintendo console I owned was a Nintendo 64. That's how far
wow,
along it goes.
that's a
Or
long
like
time ago.
Oh no, it
Before
was like,
before
no,
we go too far in a
yeah.
tangent, I want to get to the other games.
Oh yeah, and other games, yeah.
Obviously, I don't think Red Dead Redemption. A lot of people would say Red Dead Redemption 2, but they're playing that right now, so that
Yeah.
I always
It's the most
think you need
recent
some
thing,
distance
yeah.
from the game.
Yeah.
I think Witcher 3 won with the most comments. People saying Witcher 3. My favorite part about Witcher 3, and I maintain this, is
Is I
how
stopped
there's
playing.
a certain number of BioWare fans that get mad at that game because there's a certain number of douchey Witcher 3 guys that get on and talk about how much Dragon Age Inquisition should have been like
Yeah,
Witcher 3, and
but
everyone
that's
gets
like-
mad about it. And that's my favorite thing because it's so stupid. You can like multiple games, man.
I
You
know.
don't have to get on there.
But it's just
Skyrim
like,
though is on
assholes
there
think- yeah,
too.
I think, yeah, a lot of like asshole Witcher fans and like I'm not talking about like general Witcher fans. They're like asshole Witcher fans who go and annoy the BioWare fandom and
on
vice
purpose,
versa.
and it works, which is
There's
stupid.
asshole fans in every
but
in everything.
But it works, and the people get so worked up about it. It's kind of amusing. Anyway, I will say though that the playing Red Dead Redemption 2 really has me excited for Starfield more, even though they have nothing to do with each other, except for the fact that they're big-time open-world games.
So, on the Mass Effect Andromeda subreddit, a person asks, why in Andromeda did they not just use a portal to go to the new galaxy? I'm currently playing Mass Effect 2, so I still have to finish the trilogy, but I wondered why in Andromeda I read that the spaceships leave for the Andromeda Galaxy and use Classic Journey
he
for
wonders
600 years to get there, without using any portals.
There aren't portals.
So he is like, I haven't played the game, but why isn't this thing that's not in the game, why does it not exist?
Well, technically,
Yes.
like, there's that. If you really, really, really want, I think they just don't. They probably just don't understand how mass relays work. I think that's probably what it is. I think they're just like, oh, portals, right? Okay.
It's not. They're not portals, and they're limited in distances and stuff.
Exactly.
So.
I
just thought that was a very fun
I miss how
question on
nerdy
that
Mass
subreddit.
Effect is. I really miss that. I've been meaning to get into something even more nerdy.
This is
I
why
mean, did you see the
BioWare
N7
make
video?
a Star Trek RPG, just because it's like, yeah, go full, absolute balls to the wall sci-fi nerd. Just go for it.
Did you see the N7 video?
Yes, I did.
How at the end, Casey Hudson is talking about how he's ready to start the next, or he's excited to see where the next Mass Effect goes, or something like that.
He needs to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's like announce.
I'm tired of that
don't.
shit. Yeah, just
like,
shut up, dude.
It's like,
Shut
Casey,
up.
Casey, we love you. It's great that you're, essentially one of the fathers of the Mass Effect series and you're now in charge of BioWare. We know that, pretty much 99% certain there's already very concrete plans to get the next Mass Effect game in motion because he's made it no secret that he absolutely wants to continue the franchise. But, dear God, dude, if you're going to tease us on N7 Day, announce something or don't. Just don't leave it open-ended, especially with the last thing being Mass Effect Andromeda, so everyone's just
for marketing reasons, though, they're not going to announce that until Dragon Age Inquisition 4 comes out. So it's going to be a long time, and it's going to be irritating, and he needs to shut up.
But imagine if he said something to the effect of obviously better phrase than this, but be patient, or we hope to get something on the horizon for you guys soon. Something to give oh, we are taking steps to this, or it's just instead of, oh, I'm hoping to see where the future of the franchise is going, wink, wink. It's no. There's better ways to phrase that.
This has convinced me we need to have a Mass Effect podcast coming up, and we were going to do that, but then we all disappeared. And we were also going to do coming up soon. There's actually stuff on Anthem that's coming out, and we're going to talk about that next week on the show.
And
so if you want to jump in on that,
coming up. There is Dragon Age Day coming out on the 4th of December.
But you should email us in on your Anthem impressions and questions.
Yes.
We are at accidentallycasual@gmail.com. I am at MiniusGC. SecretCat is at SecretCat5500. And Tucker.
Oh shit! Is
don't
this the outro?
even bother. No, it's not the outro. I'm just letting people know they can contact us.
Oh.
Contact us, guys.
Yeah.
Sure. Dude, talk to us. We love you guys.
Yeah, I once got oh my god, I can't believe you responded. I was like, yeah, seriously.
Yeah, we respond.
We will respond.
We're very lonely. Please talk to us.
Yeah, Tucker is so lonely. He Skype chats us every day. I mean, text messages us every day, basically. And Seeker and I
admit it. You love it.
And he's
You
incapable
No,
of remembering
it's
what
about
fucking
50%.
time zones are. He wakes
Seeker and
me
I
up
don't
at,
know what to say.
3 in the morning to ramble off on utter nonsense that no one would think of. You know what people what is it, night tweeting or something like that? Is that's perpetual Tucker is night tweeting, and I get bombarded with it at 3 a.m.
My favorite.
But I try to make an adventure. If I message, I definitely try to make it an adventure.
My favorite part there was Tucker's like, Seeker, why aren't you responding? I'm like, Tucker, it's fucking 3 a.m. there. That's why she's not responding.
I was like, oh.
Do you know? Have I told you guys that if I put in the words Jesus fucking Christ. My phone is automatic prediction. Next word is Tucker. Because I have to type it so often. Jesus fucking Christ, Tucker. It's like my phone comes in, like the Google suggests, like correcting.
Man, okay. I forgot what mine is. If it's like, and I think tacos pops up. And I don't know why.
Oh my God, Biofan posted something about Kesha.
Again. Oh, that's so unexpected. For a second.
He's no longer Biofan. He is completely
He's Kesha Stan. Kesha Stan.
Am I pronouncing that right?
Kesha, yeah.
I don't think I could pick out a Kesha song, period.
Oh, fuck you.
I don't think I could
remember
do it.
TikTok. I remember TikTok.
Don't stop, make it pop, DJ, roll the speakers up tonight. But her recent stuff is incredible. Like, Praying
I regret
got me
bringing
through
this
a lot.
up.
Have you ever heard Praying?
Like I said, I can't. I would not know a single track
Okay.
from her at all.
I know TikTok.
Yeah, well, like I said,
That's that one.
Where are
just
you
to
guys
give you-
hearing this stuff?
because, like,
TikTok? That was
That
like
was-
2006.
that was a while ago. Yeah, that was a good while ago. But put it this way, when her latest album came out, Rainbow, Biofan was like, "Oh God, I'm in floods of tears. I'm crying listening to this song." And I was like, "What song is it?" Like, he doesn't tend to get that worked up over like just any song. So I was like, "Okay,
Really?
I'll listen." Shut up. At that point, he hadn't, and I was like, "I'll listen to it." And bear in mind the situation I was in at the time, and it's this very minor key, somber piano music. Bear in mind, like, I was expecting something akin to TikTok, because I hadn't really heard that many Kesha songs beyond like really upbeat things like We Are Who We Are, that kind of thing. And the first lyric is, well, you almost had me fooled. Told me that I was nothing without you. But after everything you've done, I can thank you for how
All
strong
right.
I have
I opened a door
become.
that I really regret now. It's totally my fault. Like a lot.
I said, so I was listening to this, and I was not expecting like the content of it.
How do I close this door?
No, you can't shut this door now. And you brought it up. It was like it was Comic-Con story or this. So yeah, you only have yourself to blame.
Well, I'm gonna take us out.
All right.
We got a bunch of episodes coming up that are going to happen. I'm serious.
Hooray,
We're gonna do
yeah.
Detroit Become Human. We're gonna
Yes.
schedule that like now. I'm gonna try to get out there and see when we want to have Ability Drain on that. I completely ruined it. We'll see how that goes going forward. Next
Love
week
you,
we're talking
Amy.
about all the Anthem stuff that came out. I get mad at the fact that they're putting out Anthem stuff because they never put out any Andromeda stuff because it wasn't ready yet, and they just released it. I wonder if I'm going to be bitter about that forever. Anyway, if you want to chat about, we're going to go Anthem next week. They're doing a number of live streams promoting that thing. Also, we're going to have some kind of Dragon Age Inquisition podcast coming up because
like Dragon Age in general.
D4 Day.
Yep.
And
I
then
will
I'm going
take
to
a
Oh,
leave
right,
on
yeah,
that.
that exists.
I'm going to be gone on a number of podcasts. We need to figure this stuff out. But thank you for being patient with us.
Yes. Thank
We've
you
been sticking
guys.
around. We're going to, from now on, I've decided no matter what, we're having something every week, even if it's just me on a rant, which is very possible, or I just go on some kind of rant.
Do you have like? Are you gonna have your teddy bear whose name escapes me, like in a smoking jacket?
Conrad Berner.
Conrad Banner, yeah. You're just gonna have him in a smoking jacket.
That
as
would be
your
great.
Avatar. Yeah.
I
just like
I
miniature
can't get any
sports.
clothes for him because he's huge and has the enormous beer belly. There's nothing that fits
Phineas,
him.
You do live in America. I am sure there is some
No,
clothing outlet
his
that will
head
facilitate.
is bigger than his belly. I can't get anything over it. I've tried, trust
A
me.
smoking jacket, Minius. You do not put it
I-
over the head.
I don't want to buy a $400 smoking jacket for a
I'm
fat
not saying
bear.
spend $400 on it. Jesus Christ. Just like, yeah.
I was thinking about getting him a gorilla girlfriend. There's this like a Norma gorilla, but the
And
dude's
their
too big. He
child
takes
would
up too
be
much
an
room.
Abomination.
All right, next week we're going with Anthem. So that's it for this week. This is the outro, by the way, Tucker.
Woo!
Oh, okay.
Do you have a dumb comment?
No, I was watching. I was watching a video with this like really fat person, and
Jesus
someone slides a
Christ,
card through, and he like pops
Yeah,
out $1.
Okay.
That is a dumb comment.
That's
That is
it for
definitely a
this
dumb comment
week.
to end on.
If you like this show, tell your friends. If not, tell your enemies. Seriously, if you have enemies, tell them about the show.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun. Accidentally Casual is a weekly podcast, I swear. Check
Yes.
our Twitters for the release date. The time is always going to be noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and 8 in the UK. I'm at MiniusGC. Secret Cat is at Secret Cat 5500, and Tucker runs N7 Follower. You can catch the 2 most recent podcasts on SoundCloud. You can also email questions, topic suggestions, and visuals. I love visuals that you guys send in.
Yes.
The email address is accidentallycasual@gmail.com. You can get extra content on our YouTube channels at BioWare Central and MiniusGC. So for Secret Cat and the Tucker, I'm Minius, reminding you to try to game happy. Don't shoot horses and stuff. It's fucked up.
Yep.
You know someone's going to be like brushing their horse. You have to brush your horse in the multiplayer, and someone's going to like walk over and blast it with a shotgun. And it's going to be fucked up.
Is this going suspiciously smoothly, or is it just me?
Is this going smoothly? I don't think this is going smooth at all.
Really going smooth?
For us, this is going smoothly.
Maybe it's
By
because
our
I shut
standards,
up and
this
I'm
is-
not yelling at anybody.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know how it's going smooth.
Anybody,
The
Tucker,
conversation
you're not
we were
yelling
having
at Tucker.
earlier.
I disagree with. I mean, I guess. All right, maybe I should shut up more.